let's check out this absolutely awesome mini sewing machine. So this is a box mine came with. It's actually quite advanced machine over here. You can see all the features here. So in this video we'll go over and I'll show you everything we get on this machine. Also I'll show you how to set up, how to thread it, how to wind up the bobbin, how to set up the bottom part. I'll show you all the stitches and all the functions of this machine. So when we get this machine, also inside the box you actually get quite extensive manual here as well. Also get a bunch of pre-wound bobbins for it as well. Yeah, basically a lot of spools, even these special tools that we can use to sew buttons as well, or foot pedal, power adapter, some threading tools as well. By the way, there are two ways how to power this machine. First, you can take basically this power lead. When it comes to negatives, as you see, it's actually very short, but apart from that, this machine actually is very decent. So you see, if you plug it in over there, you can power it from a wall. But also check this, we can also easily flip over this machine, and on the bottom you have compartment for 4 batteries here. You see, you can insert 4 AA batteries inside, and then you can easily use it on the go. So if you are traveling somewhere and if you do not have basically power, maybe in a camper van, so this is absolutely awesome for that stuff. Okay, first let's quickly go over the functions of this machine. So first, if you want to use it with a foot pedal, you can insert it over here in this foot pedal. And here again, let's insert the power as well and plug it in. So you see, if I start my foot pedal here, yeah, it obviously starts to work. Also, we can actually start it using these buttons as well if you do not want to use a foot pedal, but obviously this is preferred method. So you see, if I simply engage this low or high, so you see it also starts to sew. So we have 2 speeds, low speed and high speed on this machine. Also, if you're looking to get this sewing machine, in the description I'll include a special discount link that you can use and get it for absolutely insane price. So personally, I got mine from AliExpress and actually paid only a bit over $20 for mine, which is absolutely insane considering what we are getting. Also, I'll leave extra coupons you can combine with this price to essentially bring it down further. So again, I literally paid only a bit over $20 with free shipping for this whole set essentially. So also let's maybe check out the stitch patterns we get on this machine. So we actually get 12 different stitch patterns over here. So the number 1 to number 4 are regular straight stitch essentially. 5 and 6 are hidden stitches. Maybe they have to sew maybe cuffs on shirts or stuff like that. Now 7 and 8 is for the buttons. So we can either make the button holes or also sew directly the buttons as well with this machine, which is absolutely awesome. And 9 to 12 is various zigzags. So for example, over here I have the number 9 on the top and the number 12 on the bottom here. And obviously, yeah, basically you see they can get even smaller or larger here. As you see, when it comes to quality, this actually appears very, very decent. So why do I have 2 different colors? Obviously, yeah, if you put, for example, like blue on the top and white over on the bottom, you can also like get 2 color basically stitches. So yeah, absolutely awesome. And to change the pattern, so you see, you can simply turn this turn wheel to the number you need. Also, before you do it, also make sure your needle's up, otherwise you might actually break it. So you see, if I actually turn this turn wheel, I can get my needle and also this arm to go up and down. So make sure to turn it in your direction. So like this, as you see, that also brings up the needle and also the arm up or down. So again, make sure the needle is up before you change, otherwise you might actually break the needle. Also, if you check over here, you can also turn on the light as well for this machine. Yeah, as you see, absolutely awesome. And also we have integrated cutter here as well. So for example, if you want to cut your thread, so simply take your thread and simply, as you see, okay, a bit hard to show with one hand, but yeah, I see it can easily cut off your thread here as well. So if we turn the machine over, so you see you also have this lever here that essentially takes the foot down or up. So you see, I can put it down or up. Also on this machine we also have this tensioning disc as well. So you see it goes from number 1 to number 9 essentially. So this will change basically on the thickness of your fabric basically what you're sewing. So again, if you need your stitches like stronger or basically more slack in them, you can basically adjust with this wheel. So for most, I suggest you to keep it maybe at number 4. That will actually be fine with maybe like 90% of fabrics, I would say. So that is probably the best option to keep. So you see, if you want to start sewing, so make sure your foot is up, simply put down your fabric, then basically put down this lever and off we go. And on this machine we also even have reverse function as well. So you see, if I press and hold this and then start my machine, so it actually goes in reverse as well. So if you want to armor your stitch, so we can obviously do that. So once you are done sewing, basically we are actually going to again lift up basically our foot there, and then simply take your fabric and pull it basically on the left side, so like this, gently as this. So you see, I can take both my threads here and use a cutter to cut them off, and yeah, see. So again, before you start sewing, make sure your tension disc is for most fabrics at maybe number 4. Then select basically your stitch patterns that you want, put down your fabric, put down your foot, and yeah, you can either hold it or simply let it feed itself. So I'm going to hold it, so you see. And if I, for example, want to turn my fabric, so in most cases you actually do it right away, or again I would use my turn wheel here, turn it in my direction, so I actually have the needle slightly up, lift up my basically foot, basically change the direction of the fabric maybe, then again press down your foot and off you go again. So see, I'm not even holding it. Okay, so and again, once finished, press it up and again slide it on the left side. You do not want to actually pull it like this or that, otherwise you might actually mess up the needle. So you see, we're simply going to slide it like this on the left side and cut it off. So you see, we have the zigzag number 11 here, and also as I was turning it. And next, let me show you how to thread up the machine, so the top part and also the bottom. So if you want to change the thread, how to do it. Before you do any of this, make sure you actually unplug it from the power. First, let's start with the top. So when you get your machine, it actually comes with these kind of tiny spools and also this cover. But obviously we can use any size spool on this machine, so even longer ones, and then you do not even need to use this cover. So simply pop it on like this. So you see, you also have the spring here, so it simply sits like that. Okay, and next, make sure your arm is actually up. So I'm going to use this to get my arm up, basically in the highest position. Also make sure your presser foot is actually up, so simply use a lever on the bottom to actually get it up. If you do not do it, actually this tensioning disc actually won't properly catch the thread and you will have some problems. So again, make sure your presser foot is actually up before you do this. And next, simply observe what I'm doing. So I simply want to feed it actually through this slot. So I'm going to hold it like this a bit and simply slide it underneath there. So it's a bit tricky. So you see how it actually goes. So underneath and comes out. So also see this tiny knob here, it actually moves, it has a spring. So we actually want to put our thread below it. So again, maybe even lift it a bit. So and simply get your thread like this. So see how it's feeding through there. And again, this simply wobbles like this and the thread goes under. And next, basically make the thread a bit longer, and next we simply need to feed it through this slit over here. So this is where the tensioning disc actually is. Again, make sure your presser foot is actually up before you do it, otherwise it won't catch it properly. So we are simply going to feed it through here, through the slit here, so all the way down. Okay, and then we have to actually loop it underneath this thing here, loop it like this, bring it up, and next we simply have to feed it through this arm hole. So okay, so you see it's simply through like that. And next we can use our wheel here, and we need to get our needle basically down at this moment. So you see, holding this a bit and simply getting my needle down, I need access to this hole over here. And I'm going to loop this through here, through this hole here. Okay, next I can bring up my needle here. So I'll need access to the eye of the needle. Also inside the box we get this very useful tools that can help us to thread through the needle eye much better. So you see it has this like a tiny frame here. I'm going to actually feed that tiny frame through the eye of the needle. So you see, okay, then I can take my thread and feed that through the tiny frame. So okay, pull it out like this, and if I now pull this tool out, yeah, I see, absolutely awesome. And now let's do the bottom part. So remove the cover, take your bobbin, and also make sure your basically thread is hanging on the left side, so like this. And also maybe you have like 10 or 15 centimeters loose like this, and then simply drop it inside there, okay, like this, and make sure it's making a letter P essentially. So you see how it's actually hanging in this exact way. So again, make sure it's hanging like this. And then what I have to do is I simply have to actually with one hand simply take my blue thread over here, for example, so the one that actually goes from the up, and with the other hand I'm simply going to turn basically this wheel over here, and it's essentially going to feed this like white thread through basically the machine and basically set it up itself essentially. So you see, as I'm basically holding this with one hand and turning this, so again put some pressure on the thread, it's essentially going to come underneath there and catch the white thread. So you see what it's doing, and pulling it essentially up. So you see what just happened, the machine automatically like feed the bottom bobbin basically through itself and set it up essentially. Then we can take basically like scissors here, push underneath here and get both threads out. And once more up close, so you see this bottom bobbin thread is making the letter P here, hanging like this. I'm simply holding a bit basically the upper thread with my fingers here, and with my other hand I'm simply going to basically get the needle down. It's essentially, I see it start to come out basically and catching the white thread, essentially bringing it itself up basically. So you see how absolutely awesome this machine is. And again, simply take your scissors and help both come out. Okay, and I suggest you to leave basically both of your threads basically hanging like this on the left side. And at this point simply replace your cover and you can start sewing. So we have successfully threaded the machine. Then also, if you want to basically wind up a bobbin, so if you want basically put up the thread on the bobbins, we also have the bobbin wind up feature on this machine as well. Okay, so first put your spool that you want to actually take the thread basically again here, and simply take your empty bobbin and put it on this spindle over here. Okay, push it on, and then we have to actually push it on the right side to engage the bobbin wind up mode. So you see, if I push it, it goes like this. And then we have to actually take basically this thread and feed it in a similar way as I showed you. So you see, underneath there, basically underneath that knob. And next I'm going to basically take this over here. And next I'm going to take this thread and then simply push it through one of the holes. So from the inside to the out. So you see, like this. Okay, and next while you hold it like this, so put some tension, I'm going to take my basically the wheel and simply again in my direction wind it up a few times. So you see it creates some pressure. Okay, and then I can continue basically with the power. Also, before you engage the power, make sure to snip this off so it doesn't catch anywhere. And using my foot pedal, I'm essentially going to start it. And you see it's actually winding itself up. Also suggest you to take scissors and help it guide it. So you see I'm simply putting my scissors underneath the thread and starting the machine. And you see So you see what I'm doing, I'm simply taking my scissors up and down to basically help it guide it so it actually winds itself up evenly. And then, yeah, once you're done, we can simply again push it like this, remove it, snip it off, and we are done really. Okay. And yeah, overall for the price this machine costs, I think it's absolutely unbeatable. So again, if you want to get it for the cheapest price possible, simply check out the special discount links I'll leave in the description. So again, I got mine from AliExpress and I paid only a bit over $20. Also, make sure to check out those extra coupons I'll leave, so you can combine those with this price to get it for only a bit over $20, and that also is with free shipping. Also, I have seen the same machine being sold on Amazon, for example, for like $100. So obviously, do not pay that. But yeah, honestly, if even someone were to tell me that this costs like $100, I would actually believe them, because the build quality is actually real decent. It does really everything you would need for maybe like literally like 98% of tasks someone would use it for. Also good stitching quality over here, all the good modes, decent enough power. Also, of course, we can run it from the batteries as well if needed. By the way, if you run it from the batteries, the power actually won't be as it will simply be a bit slower than if you basically run it from the socket. Essentially, that's something to consider. But again, so I'm just nitpicking really at this price. Really, I think this machine is totally unbeatable. I really have no idea how they can even produce this machine for that price. Anyway, yeah, good luck.